aerobics and acrobatics, and she had the personality and the smarts to be a leader in her high school and do the newspaper. So she was very well-rounded person, very well-rounded. When she graduated from high school in 1980, she took some time off. She was 17, having been born in December, she started a little early, so she took some time off. And some of the things, she did several jobs. One of the jobs that she did was she was a personal trainer. She worked at a fitness club, and she was a personal trainer. So she was always into fitness and staying fit. The other part of that, the other job that she had for a while, was kind of surprising, was if you remember the Fort Lauderdale Strikers, a soccer team down there, she was on their dance team and cheerleading squad. So again, somebody that goes and is the physical fitness person and has the brains and smarts to do everything, and also the well-roundedness to be on a professional dance team. That's pretty good. So she went to the University of Florida. She's been a Gator her whole life, it seems like. So when she went to Florida, she graduated University of Florida in 1985. But her last year of undergraduate school, she got accepted into the Junior Honors Medical Program, which meant that her last year of undergrad was her first year of grad school. They select one person a year at the University of Florida to do that. So that was a tremendous honor. To do that, she had to compete, and again, it was based upon not just your academics, but on a well-rounded person. So she was, while she's going to undergrad in pre-med, she's also volunteering at different charities and organizations and still keeping her grades up so that she was selected into a program like this. So again, an amazing person. So she finished med school in basically 3 years. So she graduated med school in 1988 and began her internship. Now, for being her brother, it seems like one day I was driving her to a dance class when she's 10 years old, and the next day, she's graduating from med school. It goes fast. So, she's out of med school, and I don't know if you know this, but normally when you're in med school, you're poor. You're working very hard. They don't pay you much. She graduates, she gets out of her internship, and she says, I'm going to buy a car that's not a piece of junk. And she goes and buys a car. And on the way home, somebody hit her in the side. So she drives, that's just one of those things that she always wanted that new car, and there it was, and it got hit immediately. But she overcame like she overcame everything else in her life. So she's now out of med school doing things, and on November 22nd, 1992, she married Scott Aston. And then on December 31st, a New Year's Eve baby, Brian McKinney Aston, was born. And everything changed. If you're a parent, you understand that. Whereas your focus before was on your family, your friends, your life, your work, now it's focused on your children. Kristi was always a giving person, and if you ever called her for advice, medical or otherwise, you always got it, always. However, there was normally a price to pay, even though it was a small price. if you called and asked Kristi a question, you had to listen, even though we enjoyed it, to everything that had gone on with Brian. Small price to pay, and we were glad to hear it. She was so proud of Brian. When he played baseball, you tried not to call in the summer for advice because you were going to hear everything about him. But then it didn't help to call in the fall because then you got to hear how he was doing in school. Her life centered around Brian. It is hard for someone, who didn't call Kristi or know her outside of the office to realize how much, that was her life. And everything was focused on that. Sometimes we would talk about what she was doing with Brian and what was to be the next step, and we would just talk, and she talked with all the siblings. This was not just me. She has another brother and two sisters, and we were all talking and involved in the life of Brian and how he did things, and we just talked. So Kristi, on August 16th, 2004, married her soulmate, Jamie. And I guess when we were talking about how would we describe this, there was a lot of words that were thrown out, and I'm going to use some of them, but the word that I thought was best was completion. She was completed. Jamie is her other half. We also heard a lot of words when we were talking about it, of love, adore. They adored each other. You saw them together a lot. You didn't see them separate much. They were together a lot. And, sometimes in a relationship, you don't see the people together, but you very seldom saw them apart. She was truly, truly in love with Jamie and talked about him a lot. Kristi was also, if you're familiar, a huge sports fan. She was a Gator. And being someone from Kentucky, who was a Kentucky fan, that we had an agreement that on game days in basketball, I would try not to call her and gloat when we won. And in the rare occasion that a Gator won, I was unavailable. But, and there's this other thing that's kind of funny shaped. It's kind of not round. It's oblong kind of, and it's a pigskin something. We have trouble bouncing it, so in Kentucky we didn't play it much. So of course, any Saturday that Kentucky was playing Florida, I was also unavailable. But she was a huge sports fan. She liked it. We talked a lot about what was going on and what were the Gators going to do and things, and she really, really enjoyed her sports. As you know, that her life was focused on her medical practice, her family and her friends, and she was a very giving person. And she never turned anybody or anything away, whether it was two-legged or four-legged. If you went to her house, when you rang the doorbell, the second doorbell began, which was all the dogs barking. So there was never any doubt that there was someone at the door. So anyway, her family, she had multiple families, and y'all are all part of one of her families. And to talk more about her medical family is Rebecca Stanley.